Shadows of Redemption, The Denmark Dilemma, written by Reuben White. Chapter 1, The arrival in the scorching heat of a midday sun, the dusty streets of Redemption Valley trembled with an unsettling anticipation. A thick cloud of tumbleweed and uncertainty hung heavy over the once peaceful town. It was the kind of day where the sun seemed to beat down on you like a wrathful judge, and the wind whispered secrets of the impending storm. Luke Denmark, a tough and seasoned cowboy with eyes that had seen more than most, rode into town atop his loyal steed, Thunder. The air was thick with tension, and the townsfolk huddled together like frightened sheep, their eyes darting between the bank and the imposing figure that was Luke. The bank, a fortress of stone and greed, had become the epicenter of chaos. The outlaws, a trio of cold-hearted varmints, had swept into town like a tornado, leaving destruction and fear in their wake. They had cornered the townspeople like cattle, and the local sheriff, a man with a heart as big as the Grand Canyon, had been shot down in the line of duty. Deputy Dave, a man with a voice as gravelly as a rattlesnake's hiss, was all that stood between the outlaws and the town's complete subjugation. He was a tough cookie, but he was outnumbered and outgunned. Luke, a man of few words but vast experience, had seen his fair share of dusty showdowns. He knew that the time had come for him to step up and fight for what was right. Clad in his frayed denim and worn leather, he was a living metaphor for the rugged West, a man carved from the very land itself. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that stretched like the fingers of a vengeful ghost, Luke hatched a cunning plan. He would use the elements of the land and his skills as a gunslinger to outwit the outlaws and save the hostages. The stage was set for a gunslinging battle that would echo through the annals of Redemption Valley's history. Luke, a cattle wrangler turned savior, faced off against the three outlaws, each with a reputation as dark and menacing as a stormy night. The air was thick with anticipation, and the townsfolk held their collective breath, praying for a miracle. Chapter 2, The Showdown. In a whirlwind of leather, smoke, and lead, Luke danced through the chaos, his hand as swift as a rattlesnake's strike. The outlaws fell one by one, their bodies crashing to the ground like discarded dolls. Luke's eyes, like storm-tossed seas, showed no mercy as he fought for justice. The first outlaw, a towering figure with a scar across his cheek, lunged forward with a snarl, his pistol blazing. But Luke was quicker, his movements fluid and precise as he sidestepped the bullets and returned fire with deadly accuracy. With a cry of pain, the outlaw crumpled to the ground, his lifeblood staining the dust a dark, viscous red. The second outlaw, a wiry man with eyes as cold as ice, tried to flank Luke from the side. But Luke was ready, his senses honed by years of living on the edge. With a quick flick of his wrist, he sent a bullet whistling through the air, striking the outlaw square in the chest. The man stumbled backward, his face a mask of shock, before collapsing in a heap. The third outlaw, the leader of the pack, watched in horror as his comrades fell before him. He knew that his time was running out, that Luke was a force to be reckoned with. But still, he refused to go down without a fight. With a roar of defiance, he charged forward, his gun blazing. Luke met him head-on, his own pistol roaring in reply. The two men circled each other like predators, their eyes locked in a deadly dance. But in the end, there could only be one victor. With a final, thunderous shot, Luke sent the outlaw sprawling to the ground, his body limp and lifeless. Chapter 3, The Aftermath. In the end, Luke stood victorious, two of the outlaws slain, and the third badly injured. He had become the hero of the day, saving the hostages from the clutches of evil. The townsfolk hailed him like a modern-day savior, their gratitude as warm as the sun on his weathered skin. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, Luke rode out of Redemption Valley, his heart heavy with the burden of duty but his spirit unbroken. The wind whispered a song of praise for the Denmark Dilemma, a tale of heroism and justice that would be passed down through generations, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the western frontier. Chapter 4, The long ride as Luke rode out of Redemption Valley, the weight of the day's events settled heavily on his shoulders. The adrenaline of the showdown began to fade, replaced by a bone-deep weariness that seemed to seep into his very soul. He urged thunder forward, the rhythmic beat of the horse's hooves a comforting cadence in the silence of the night. The stars shimmered like diamonds in the vast expanse of the sky, casting their dim light over the rugged terrain. Luke's thoughts drifted back to the events that had unfolded in the town, the violence and chaos that seemed to follow him wherever he went. He couldn't help but wonder if he was destined to walk this path alone, forever haunted by the ghosts of his past. But even in the darkness, there was a glimmer of hope. For amid the chaos, Luke had found something worth fighting for, a sense of purpose that had long eluded him. He may have been a drifter, a man without a home or a family to call his own, but in that moment, he knew that he was exactly where he needed to be. With each passing mile, Redemption Valley faded into the distance, until it was nothing more than a distant memory, a chapter in the story of Luke Denmark's life. But the lessons he had learned there, the bonds he had forged with the townsfolk, would stay with him forever. As the first light of dawn began to peek over the horizon, Luke felt a sense of peace settle over him. The road ahead was long and uncertain, but he faced it with a steely resolve, knowing that whatever challenges lay in store, he would face them head-on. For Luke Denmark was not just a cowboy or a gunslinger, he was a symbol of hope in a world consumed by darkness, a beacon of light in the vast expanse of the western frontier. And as he rode off into the sunrise, his spirit unbroken and his heart filled with determination, he knew that wherever the road may lead, he would always be ready to answer the call of justice. If you are enjoying adventures in the Old West channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button for future posts.